In this video, we're going to look at a different abstraction. Last time we looked at hotel television. This time we're going to look at an abstraction of an inning of a baseball game. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't really know a whole ton about baseball, so for me, this one is definitely a bit of a shot in the dark. But the main idea is that we should be able to use this without actually understanding the full inner workings, whether that's the code or really a great understanding of baseball. So I'm going to go ahead and actually create an instance of a baseball inning. Remember, to create an instance, we're taking the cookie cutter that is the baseball inning class and stamping out one particular baseball inning, one variable, one instance. So let's go ahead, let's click on this. Remember, there's no run ACM program. We're going to go new baseball inning, and I'm just going to call this B-ball. And it looks like I have to give an initial batter position. So I'm just going to put in the number 3. It's asking for an int. Okay, here is my baseball inning called B-ball. Let's go ahead and see what can we do with a baseball inning. We can get the number of runs that have happened. We can get the number of outs. We can get who is the current batter. We can get the base runners. We can make a batter go out. Or we can say that the person who's currently at bat gets a base hit and they get to move that number of bases. So again, we don't have to understand necessarily how all of these method works, but because we know instance.method, we should be able to use all of these. So let's see who's the current batter. It's Solano. These were the names of the players of the Giants, I think 2 or 3 years ago, potentially. Let's close that. All right, Solano's going to get a base hit. He's going to go one base. Now, if we do get base runners, you can see that Solano's on first base. See who's the current batter now? It's Belt. Unfortunately, Belt is going to go out, which means that there should be a new current batter. It's Longoria. And we see if we get the number of outs, there's 1 out. And have we had any runs yet? Nope. But Longoria is going to hit. He's going to do a double. And now let's look at our base runners. We have Longoria on second base and Solano on third. Who's at bat now? It's Flores. And Flores is going to hit a triple, which is going to give us 2 runs. And they should now be on third base. Now you might be wondering, what would actually happen if I put in that somebody hit a number of bases greater than 4? Doesn't actually make sense in terms of baseball. The question is, what'll happen in the class? What will happen with this method? Well, whose job was it to think about that was actually the person who wrote this class. So let's actually see what happens if I put in like 6. There we go. It says there's no such thing as a 6th base hit. It must be between 1 and 4 inclusive. So whoever made this class made a decision that that's what was going to happen if a number was put in that was greater than 4. Or probably less than 1. I guess if you put 0, this error would probably pop up as well. So now we have a decent idea of what are the methods of the baseball inning class. Let's get rid of this instance. And let's actually do 2 things. Let's take a look at the documentation for baseball inning. So I'm going to switch this from source code over to documentation. And we can see which of these methods are void methods and which of them aren't. And you probably would have been able to get some idea of this beforehand. When I run a void method or use a void method on an instance, you'll notice that nothing happened. There was nothing visible that happened. But when I use a non-void method, there actually was a pop-up box that I could see because a value had to be given back to me. So we can see that batter base hit is void, batter out is void, but the rest of these, get base runners, get current batter, get outs, and get runs, are actually all non-void. They all give me something back. So let's do this. Let's go ahead, click new class. We're going to make a console program, and we're going to call this the baseball inning program. All right, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create an instance of the baseball inning class. So let's say baseball inning b-ball equals new baseball inning. And remember, I did have to give it a number, which was who in the lineup is currently at bat. Let's do 4. Now let's do print line b-ball dot get current batter. If I forgot suddenly what all of the methods are of the baseball inning class, what could I do? I can double click and I can look at the documentation here. Let's make whoever the current batter is go out. Remember, batter out is a void method, so it should be on a line by itself. b-ball dot batter out. How am I able to do this without actually understanding how these methods work? Because I know this process of doing instance.method. Since I understand instance.method, I'm able to use the methods of this class when I have an instance of baseball inning. So that batter went out. Let's print line b-ball dot get current, who's currently at bat. This person's going to get a base hit. They're going to go 3 bases. Is that the name of it? Batter base hit? Yep, it is. You'll notice that the documentation also tells me when I need to give a value to use the method. In this case, batter base hit takes a number of bases that I have to give it, and that has to be an int. We can do print line. Let's get b-ball dot base runners. Or maybe it's get base runners. It is get base runners. Let's make whoever's at bat do another hit. Batter base hit. And let's do, you're going to get a double. And let's do this. Print line. Maybe let's do it this way. Let's do int outs equals b-ball dot get outs. Int runs equals b-ball dot get runs. And let's print line outs runs, just like that. So let's see what this program will do. Let's compile it and let's run it. There we go. Belt was at bat, then Longoria. We get Longoria on third base, and we overall have 1 out and one run. Again, this is the power of abstraction. I don't actually understand what code exists inside the baseball inning class to make all of these things happen. I don't know what happens necessarily when I call batter out. Something in the baseball inning class is changing for this particular instance called b-ball. But since I understand instance.method, I actually know how to use the methods of this class. We're going to take a look at one more example of an abstraction in the next video, and then it's going to be your job to actually write a console program for that abstraction.